They called me invisible. Just a janitor. A guy with a mop and a quiet face nobody cared to remember. But the night I forced open that elevator door was the night everything changed. It was almost midnight. The office lights on the 31st floor had dimmed the city outside, still pulsing with life. But up there, just silence, marble floors, and me pushing my cart. My name's Ben Carter, and I never wanted attention. I came in after everyone else left, cleaned what they left behind, and went home to the only person who ever looked at me like I mattered, my daughter Grace. That night, I was mopping outside the finance wing when I heard the scream. Then pounding, desperate, frantic. The elevator alarm blared like a siren in a storm. I dropped the mop and ran. Maintenance. "You're safe," I said into the intercom, pressing my ear to the steel. "We're stuck. Please, someone can't breathe," a woman sobbed. I pried open the panel flashlight between my teeth. The wires sparked, overheated, overused. I'd rewired buildings before back in another life, before I buried my wife and walked away from everything. But I still remembered how to fix things. "Step away from the panel," barked a voice behind me. It was Cal Morgan, night supervisor, always walking around like he owned the place, never lifted a finger. "You're a janitor, not an engineer. Step back before you fry someone." "If we wait for city crews, they'll be in there all night," I muttered, not looking up. "The system's overheating. You touch that, I'll have your job." I ignored him. Twisted two wires. The cabin jolted. The doors shuddered half open. I shoved my shoulder in and heaved. 4 employees stumbled out, sweaty, pale, gasping. One man clapped me on the back. "You saved us." I just nodded, wiped the sweat from my brow with my sleeve, and reached for my mop. That's when Cal shouted loud enough for everyone to hear, "You're done here. No clearance. No authority. Pack your things." The workers fell silent. You could feel the shift who helped and who shouted. But before I could say a word, another voice echoed across the corridor. "Is there a problem here?" Every head turned. It was Vivian Blake, the new CEO, 2 weeks in. Sharp suit, sharper eyes. She walked like she'd already survived war. Maybe she had. Cal straightened. "Just a janitor overstepping Ms. Blake." "Nothing worth your time." She looked at me. Sweat-soaked shirt, grease on my hands, but calm. Still, I didn't defend myself. "Who got you out?" she asked the employees. A woman pointed at me. "He did." Vivian turned to Cal. "Did something go wrong?" he stammered. "No, but it could have." "Then thank him before you talk about liability," she said, eyes never leaving mine. I almost looked her in the eye. Almost. Then I picked up my bucket and disappeared into the stairwell. That night, Grace drew a picture of me, mop in one hand, shield in the other. "You're my hero," she said, and I didn't know what to say. 2 days later, I was summoned to a meeting. Cal was there, of course, grinning like a fox who'd found his scapegoat. "There's some discrepancies in your logs," he started. "Missing equipment, unreturned tools." I said nothing. I knew the drill. Take the hit, keep the job. Don't argue. But Vivian was also there, silent, observing, and for some reason she spoke up. "Is the real liability the man who acted, or the ones who ignored months of faulty reports?" Cal clenched his jaw. The room shifted again. I didn't expect her to defend me, and I hated how much it meant. That afternoon, I picked up Grace from school. She ran into my arms, waving a crumpled test paper with a red A+. "Look, Daddy, I did it." "You always do," I said, kissing her hair. We walked home, her small hand in mine. She didn't mention the kids who teased her about her dad's job. She just held on tighter. That night, She drew me again. Same blue coveralls, same shield. Because heroes help people, she whispered. And I couldn't sleep. 3 days later, HR called me back in. Photos, logs, surveillance clips of me wheeling a box. This matches the size of the missing tablets, Cal smirked. I looked at the footage, grainy, misleading, but not fake. You're suspended until further notice, one manager said. I signed the paper, slowly walked out like I wasn't burning inside. Grace deserved better than this. But when I told her, she just asked, "Why don't you fight back?" I didn't have an answer. Until that night. Until I saw the drawing she left on my pillow. Same man, same mop, but this time, she'd written, "Don't let them win, Daddy." So the next day I walked into the boardroom. Vivian was there. Cal too. And every face that ever looked past me. "You want my story," I said. "Here it is." I told them about the fire, about losing my wife, about choosing silence because silence kept me employed, because I thought that was strength. But the truth doesn't die, I said. It waits. And now it's done waiting. Vivian stood slowly. "Funny," she said, sliding a file across the table, "because we traced every missing asset to your badge, Cal. Every transfer, every forged report." A video played Cal swiping into the loading dock after midnight, hauling crates into a black van. The room cracked open. "You think anyone will believe him over me?" Cal shouted. "I don't need them to," I said. "The truth speaks for itself." The police arrived minutes later. As they cuffed Cal, he screamed, "You'll regret this." Vivian looked at him, cold and steady. "No. Regret is for people who didn't speak up sooner." After he was gone, she turned to me. "You didn't have to stand in front of him like that." "Sometimes you don't win by fighting," I said. "You win by standing your ground." She nodded. "Thank you. Not just for today, for reminding us what integrity looks like." But it wasn't over. The next day, fake headlines spread like wildfire. CEO's affair with janitor daughter used as pawn. It was Cal. Even from a jail cell, he was trying to ruin me. I held Grace tight. "They can lie about me," I said, "but they won't use you." Vivian came to us, phone in hand, face tight with fury. "We have one shot," she said. "We trace the leaks. Prove it's him." That night, I opened a duffel bag I hadn't touched in years. Tools from my old life. We worked until dawn, rerouting data, tracing IPs, chasing shadows. When the email pinged, signed by Cal, linked to a forged drop, I looked at Vivian. "We got him." She smiled, tired but fierce. "No, you did." The next morning, Cal was hit with new charges. Grace sat in the corner of the boardroom, coloring blissfully unaware that her father had just exposed a $1 million fraud ring. When it was over, Vivian turned to me. "You ever think of doing more than cleaning floors?" I looked at her, at Grace, at the sunlight cutting through the glass. "I used to. Then life happened." She smiled. "Well, life's happening again. Don't miss it." That afternoon, Grace and I went up to a room I never knew existed, an old art studio Vivian had kept locked for years. Her mother's. "Feels like home," Grace whispered. And for the first time in a long time, I agreed. I wasn't invisible anymore, not to Grace, not to myself, not to the world. But I wonder, if I hadn't opened that elevator door, if I hadn't chosen to stand instead of fold, how many people would still be trapped in silence and shadows? Tell me, have you ever seen someone wrongly blamed? Did they ever get their moment to speak? Let me know in the comments. Because silence protects power. But truth breaks it. And sometimes all it takes is one janitor, one father, one moment. Thanks for watching. And if you believe in second chances, quiet courage, and standing your ground, even when it shakes, subscribe. There's always another story waiting. And maybe next time, it'll be yours.